In February of 2024, Rocksteady's new live service game, Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League, introduced us to a brainiac, mind-controlled Justice League. The League is led by this universe's version of Superman, who has been mind-controlled and turned evil, a unique and inspired idea. In summer of 2023, the Adult Swim hit cartoon series My Adventures with Superman premiered to rave reviews. The series eventually gets to a plot point where Lois Lane finds out about the multiverse through the Multiversal Council of Lois Lanes. This is easily the best multiversal council we've seen, given that the competition so far is... The Council of Lanes shows tomboy Lois that in other universes, Superman has turned evil and has killed thousands. It seems that the multiversal norm is Superman going mad with power. Similarly, in the CW's Season 1 of Superman and Lois, an alternate dimension John Henry Irons comes to Clark and Lois's Earth to kill Superman, as his version of Superman had been possessed by the Eradicator, and Superman's half-brother, Tal-Rho. This Eradicator Superman and his fellow revived Kryptonians destroy the world's cities and kill millions, including that Earth's Lois Lane, a unique and inspired idea. That same year in 2021, we got the holy grail for chronically online versions, the Oscar award-winning Snyder Cut. In flash-forward scenes to a possible future where Darkseid has found the anti-life equation and beaten the Justice League, we see that he successfully turns Superman evil, using the equation's powers to erase free will. In the same movie, Superman, who died in 2016's Batman v Superman, is revived by the Justice League, and briefly goes rogue in a confused post-mortem panic. He's only brought back to his superheroic self after kicking the shit out of Batfleck and hearing Amy Adams yelling a secret identity out in front of a bunch of random cops and onlookers.
Hold your fire! Hold your fire!
Nice one, Lois. In 2017, we got the most evil interpretation of Superman by far. CGI lip Superman was truly a terror to be feared and one that still lives in infamy. I mean, just look at how he talks to this child.
What's the best thing about planet Earth?
Chilling. In the CW crossover event Elseworlds, the Arrowverse's heroes encounter an alternate Earth's version of Superman, who is quite evil, and dons his very scary black suit. In 2016, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice came out in theaters and collectively made the world lose interest in the DC universe. In this movie, Batfleck has his first premonitions about the evil nightmare future, where he fights Superman cultists, parademons, and of course, evil Superman himself, who zaps Batfleck right in half. Very cool. Just a few years before that, in 2014, we got a new comic arc, where Kal-El fights Doomsday in the New 52 continuity, and after defeating him, inhales some kind of Doomsday virus, and becomes a mutated version of the monster called Superdoom. Yep. Very unique and inspired. This isn't the first appearance of Superdoom, though, as the original version of the character was created by comics legend Grant Morrison in their Action Comics run in 2012. This version of Superdoom is from Earth 45 and was created by Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and Jimmy Olsen. Thoughts. Literally their thoughts. They built a machine that turns brainwaves into physical vibrations and can manifest abstract concepts. They got this idea, obviously, from a spiritual journey to Tibet. Believe it or not, this is actually the most sensical Grant Morrison storyline I've ever read. Given that Earth 45 does not have a Superman, the trio conceptualizes the idea of one using the machine. Sadly, Earth 45 suffers too from the woes of late-stage capitalism, and Kent, Lane, and Olsen have to sell the machine to some giant mega-evil corporation that misuses the machine and accidentally creates the original Superdoom. This version of the character ends up being given corporate directives to wipe out any super competition. So, naturally, with the power of the free market, Superdoom traverses the universe, and eventually, the multiverse, fighting any versions of Superman he can lay his diabolical mechanic hands on. One version of Superman Superdoom does not encounter is Tyrant Superman from the 2013 video game Injustice: Gods Among Us. In this game, Joker mind controls Superman into destroying Metropolis and killing Lois Lane, who is pregnant with his child. Once Superman snaps out of it, he confronts the Joker and tears him a new one, as the saying goes. But he doesn't stop there. Superman decides to take over the world and gets several other former heroes to join him, creating a new fascist world order, Superman rules with an iron fist. This version of the character and of the DC universe seemed to be such a huge hit that DC made a 2017 sequel, launched an entire Injustice comic run based on the video game, and also made an animated movie. Now, if only any of these could explain why Superman needs fucking armor. Another equally fascist Superman is seen in Batman, the Brave and the Bold, where Superman is infected with red kryptonite, which turns him into just a real big jerk. He burns a hole in a gift Jimmy Olsen got him, goes out with another girl, and he's just so mean, man.
Earthquake!
In 2009's DC Comics event Blackest Night, written by Jeff Johns, the Black Lantern Corps conquers the DC universe, turning a bunch of characters basically into zombies, including our pal Superman. Zombies were just sick as fuck in the 2000s, I guess, as DC also launched their Elseworlds zombie series, DCeased, written by Tom Taylor. This book saw Superman getting infected once again with the anti-life equation and becoming this universe's version of a zombie, an anti-living. That's unique and inspired, I think. Meanwhile, on cable TV, Superman was young and in high school, and dealing with girl problems, bullies, and an absolutely batshit insane Pa Kent. But one of his biggest problems turned out to be the infamous red kryptonite. Instead of becoming a tyrant, though, young Clark just kind of became Bully Welling. In Superman Red Sun, Superman is raised in Soviet Russia, and instead of fighting for truth, justice, and the American way, he fights for the virtues of the USSR. He conquers the world in the name of Mother Russia, and tries to make it a communist utopia. There's a comic from the 90s where Superman is a Nazi. He's mean in that. Grant Morrison did a great run on Justice League, and in one of the arcs, we're reintroduced to Earth 3, where we meet Ultraman. Also in the 90s, Superman fucking died, and 4 other Supermen showed up. Out of the 4 of them, 2 turned out to be villainous. The first, the Eradicator, was a clone of Superman made in an old Kryptonian cloning bed as a failsafe for if the last son of Krypton were to die. I think that's what happens. It's kind of confusing. This Superman had the powers and looks of the original, but lacked the humanity and mercy of OG Supes. The other Superman was Cyborg Superman, who was secretly working with the villain Mongol, and the two collaborated to destroy Coast City. In an issue of Supergirl, Superman is infected with pink kryptonite and turns gay. In Superman 3, Superman is infected with synthetic kryptonite, which makes him really mean and grumpy until he eventually kind of splits apart in a garbage dump and fights himself. In this random issue I have, Superman has to fight the notorious Penny Pincher, who I guess has schemes so devious that it forces Superman to turn to murder. In the Justice League cartoon, worlds collide, and we meet another Earth version of the Justice League, who is led by an evil and authoritarian Superman. How unique and Batman inspired. Hush, Superman is mind-controlled by Poison Ivy. She obviously makes him fight Batman. How unique and inspired. Portrayed in the Dark Knight Returns. Do you fight an evil Superman in any Lego Batman games? I can't remember. How unique and inspired. In 1932, writer Jerry Siegel and artist Joe Shuster, 2 18-year-old Jewish Americans, created a short story titled The Reign of the Superman. Published in their sci-fi magazine they sold to escape poverty, the duo created what can only be described as a short horror story about an impoverished and angry young man who gains incredible telepathic abilities, granting him the powers of a Superman. He, of course, uses these powers for evil and attempts to conquer the world, only to slowly realize his powers are wearing off. In the end, he's left once again powerless, alone, and devoid of meaning. Just another regular, ordinary man with nothing but regret, resentment, and the despair of facing an unextraordinary life in extreme poverty. He could have used his powers to save the world. He could have made his life better by fighting for the oppressed and disenfranchised like himself. But no, in the short time he was Superman, he fought for revenge against a world that never even noticed he was there. This story, and the name itself, Superman, was taken from philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche's Ubermensch, the philosophical concept of the perfect human, the type of specimen who displays both astonishing feats of strength as well as incredible intellect. During this time period, Adolf Hitler was appropriating the concepts of Nietzsche for his own philosophies, claiming that the only way for this Ubermensch to exist in Nazi Germany was to get rid of what he described as degenerate cultures, art, peoples, and ethnicities. Hitler's ubermensch was not just the perfect human, he was specifically the perfect blonde-haired, blue-eyed man who fought against degenerate values which were bringing down the nationalist, traditional culture of Germany, or so Hitler said. This was obviously all bullshit, as Hitler was just using nationalist and racist rhetoric to stir up support and rise to power in a disenfranchised and impoverished Germany. Siegel and Schuster, two Jews who were alive to witness the horrors of this evil ideology rise across the globe against their people, knew this, and decided to deconstruct the concept of the Ubermensch by creating this evil Superman, characterizing him without his powers as weak, disenfranchised, and bitter. Undoubtedly what they saw in so many fascists on the news in Europe and even at home. However, Reign of the Superman was not much of a success, and the duo never returned to this iteration of the character, but the concept of the Ubermensch in their work did stick. In 1933, Siegel and Schuster came up with a new concept. What if Nietzsche's Ubermensch did exist on Earth as the perfect human? But what if he wasn't even human at all? What if he was an alien refugee, lost in America, in a country and world filled with ignorance and hate, most of all for those who seemingly do not belong? And what if, with all this power, this Ubermensch did the unthinkable? What if he helped people? With this, Siegel and Schuster changed the world forever by creating Superman, the champion of the oppressed. A unique and inspired idea.